just so everybody knows to be prepared for tomorrow night, go back to Donald Trump as television producer and star of his own series or movie. The First Lady's box will once again be filled with what I call Lenny Skutniks. Lenny Skutnik was the man who firefighter who dove into the Potomac River during the Reagan years and saved a bunch of people after a horrible plane crash. And President Reagan brought him to the State of the Union as a guest to the First Lady, beginning a process duplicated by every president, but no one with the level of theatricality of this president. You sit in the First Lady's box with a bunch of people who tell the stories. And amongst those tomorrow night will surely be some of the folks who are at the White House today. Another Donald Trump event on an issue that just so divides America, red and blue, and shouldn't. And we're going to talk about it in a moment. This is families whose loved ones were killed by people in this country illegally. Here's the president at the event this morning. Number 3, please.
To tell the story, and that I don't know why the news doesn't want to hear it. The Democrats don't want to hear it. The radical left, they don't want to hear it. What's not to hear? We want to stop murderers and criminals from coming into our country. I watched the mayor of Minneapolis. I watched these people saying, we want to protect murderers. I don't get it. Something's sick. They're sick. Can't have a country like that. So we appreciate the bravery of everybody in this room, actually.
So I know, Mr. Mayor, you and others don't like the way he's handled this issue. I know that. But I also know that CNN didn't cover a minute of that. This is the president of the United States talking about American families grieving for their loved ones killed by people who came to this country legally and were allowed to stay in this country illegally by presidents and others who didn't enforce the laws sufficiently. So I ask you, again, not as a political matter, just as a matter of how we speak as a nation, shouldn't Democrats talk about this more exactly the way the president talks about it? Shouldn't CNN, who would cover Barack Obama opening a frozen yogurt store, shouldn't CNN have covered this live?
Mark, I got to tell you, the human element, the families who lost loved ones, we should all feel like a connection to those families and support for those families. The problem with this is, and by the way, I'd say anybody who was lost to violent crime, I mean, all the school shootings, everything else, there should be, in my view, there's no difference in one level. It's all people have been lost to something that there is a policy problem, obviously. But the problem, when I listened to what Trump said just then, it took me right back to the Central Park Five and just the way he demonizes people. No, I don't think we should be saying we should fall into his way of thinking and his way of talking. I'll give you an example that I believe is the right path that we worked on in New York City, which is you acknowledging the vast majority of undocumented folks are law-abiding and are absolutely essential to our economy and are part of our communities. So what we're trying to do is get the very small percentage that are violent or have committed serious crime. To me, that's where there could be an incredible consensus in this country. That's what Trump seemed to be saying he wanted to do when he originally talked about deportation.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but let me just say what people on the right see. They see a failure to show outrage about the murder of Laken Riley. If you were president of the United States and I were your chief of staff and Laken Riley were killed under the circumstances she was killed, I'd say, Mr. President, President de Blasio, please call her family right now. Invite them to the White House and talk about how outraged you are and how you demand justice for Laken Riley. That's not what Joe Biden did. And people on the right see the kind of answer you just gave, very thoughtful, representing the view of tens of millions, with no expression of outrage about these families and their losses. Yes, every family who has a loss, it's a tragedy, but these people feel especially aggrieved because their family members were killed by people in the country who should not have been here. They should not have had the possibility. That doesn't mean everyone here who's here illegally kills people, of course, but it's the lack of outrage that I think really divides the country, because I know you don't like the way the president handles himself, but are you outraged by the death of Laken Riley or not?
100%. But I'm outraged because Laken Riley should be alive today.
Yeah.
Right? Let's break it down for a moment.
Yeah.
Mark, let me ask you a blunt question. Let me turn the tables.
Sure.
If Laken Riley was killed by an American citizen, would you be less outraged?
Yes.
Okay. See, I think that might be an honest difference. As someone who has been involved in trying to address public safety, and the governor can relate to this, I don't know if I make a difference. I don't think I say, well, this murder was worse than that murder. I tried to stop all murders.
Of course. They're all
And so
outrageous, but
this is where I challenge you
yeah,
back.
yeah.
I think the issue is, or is a school shooting, does that bother you less than Laken Riley's death? They all
No,
bother
no,
me,
they all bother me,
right? And so then
but
where do we draw that line? And I feel what the president has done bluntly has nothing to do with
yeah,
actual outrage or compassion. He is using it as a political tactic. It's
I,
kind of hard
I,
to miss.
I just say respectfully, I couldn't disagree with you more. I've seen the president countless times talk about these families, including today, and he feels it emotionally. It's one of the few things where I see in him genuine, pure sadness and outrage over these families. And I will say, as a political matter, Governor, as I take it to you, I think that this is an issue as much as anything else where people in blue America, tens of millions of people, they don't understand how important this was to Donald Trump's victory. This exact issue, how important it was and remains, it continues to be. And he did do the event today for political purposes in the sense that he's trying to go back on the offense on immigration. And this is the single most effective issue on immigration he has, because the emotion it inspires in tens of millions of other people who do consider this to be a particular outrage. Governor.
The answer to your question, yes, CNN should have covered it. Yes,
Yeah.
so should MSNBC.
Yeah.
And we've always had inconsistencies in how we cover certain murders. I mean, and crimes. I mean, there's right now with a kidnapping out in Arizona. I mean, we're covering that differently
Yeah.
because of several reasons. That
Mhm.
doesn't mean one's worse than the other, but certain things get coverage. And that was true when I was mayor of Charlotte. Certain murders, if it's a police shooting, it gets a lot more cover. If it's racial, it got a lot more coverage. And political operatives would deal with it on the left and right and handle it differently. It met their political needs. And that's just a fact. Yes, we should be outraged by all of them. But this is one where it's obvious that the person shouldn't have been in our country, and it shows an abuse of our immigration system. And I think the president's right to do it. Now, the president's timing should have been doing this before he came to Charlotte and before he went to Minnesota and said, this is my major objective, and then implemented a strategy with that major objective and say, I want to work with the governors and the mayors to make sure they're holding people. And that's when the details of the strategy and the communication should have been done. If he had done that, I think his ratings would be much higher today than they are now.
Yeah.
But
Right.
one quick thing,
Go ahead.
Mark.
Yes,
one
sir.
quick thing. You, and again, I appreciate you have a sense of the president's personality and true emotion. Would you agree with the statement that when we see a school shooting, he does, which to me is like if you're trying to figure out level of outrage, kids killed, which in so many cases there was an indication of a danger or something wasn't, followed up on, or there was a preventable, horrible incident. I don't think I see that outrage ever from the president when a bunch of kids are killed.
I agree with you. He does not show sufficient outrage about that.
I would say this also, the media is selective in their outrage.
Yeah.
I know in Charlotte 7 years ago, we had a mass shooting in Charlotte. 4 people killed, 300 witnesses, over 300 shots fired, 7 injured. Didn't get a bed initial in the national news. Have we yet to find the shooters? And it's on video. It shows the shooters with machine guns.
That's amazing.
And no one is talking. No one knows the names of those 4 black lives, by the way, have been killed.
Yeah.
It's like we are very selective in what crime is covered by the media. And it's clicks.
Yes.
And it's political points for the right or the left if it meets their agenda.
Yep. Yes, sir. Cozy Earth, ladies and gentlemen, giving you 20% off everything on the site with the promo code two-way. If you don't own a bubble cuddle blanket, it's freezing in my apartment today, and I don't like to turn on the heat. So the whole family just snuggles under the bubble cuddle blanket. It keeps you warmer than any blanket you've ever had. It's soft, it's beautiful, comes in a variety of colors, and it's 20% off, as are everything else on the site. Baja bedding set. First collection set from Cozy Earth that has everything matching. Comes with like 42 things that match. Luxe bath towel set, also available, 20% off. And then, of course, the award-winning pants, all available to you right now. Start your new year off right. Give your home the luxury it deserves. Go to cozyearth.com. Use the promo code two-way. If you get the post-purchase survey that says how you heard about Cozy Earth, make sure you mention two-way tonight, or me personally. They know me. Refresh your routines with comfort that makes every day feel like a new year. cozyearth.com, promo code two-way, 20% off.
They say that something that's easy is like a walk in the park. Well,
Easier than a walk in the park, hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss an episode, be part of our conversations. Thank you for your service to America. And don't forget, you can now listen to the morning meeting and Two-Way Tonight on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.